Have you ever noticed that the moment you finally feel confident enough to invest is often the exact moment things begin to fall apart? Not when you are unsure, not when you are early, but right when everything feels certain.
You watch something rise for weeks or even months. At first, you ignore it. Then you start paying attention. People around you begin to talk about it. Someone you know makes money from it. Another person doubles down. Gradually, what once looked risky begins to feel safe. It no longer seems like speculation. It feels like a missed opportunity waiting to be corrected. So you step in, carefully, logically, convinced that you are making a smart decision. And then, almost immediately, it turns against you. This pattern feels modern, but it is anything but new. Centuries ago, long before stock markets became digital and global, an entire society found itself caught in the very same cycle. In the 1630s, the Netherlands was the wealthiest nation on earth. The Dutch were pioneers of global trade, and with that wealth came a desire for status. Enter the tulip. At first, these flowers were a hobby for the elite, a way to signal your sophistication. But then, a specific virus began to affect certain bulbs, creating beautiful, unpredictable, flamed patterns on the petals. Suddenly, these unique flowers weren't just plants, they were masterpieces of nature.
By 1636, the market shifted from gardeners to gamblers. People weren't buying tulips to plant them. They were buying them because they expected the price to go up next week. It became a frenzy. People were trading land, livestock, and entire life savings for a single bulb that spent most of the year as a brown lump in the dirt. People from every walk of life, chimney sweeps and aristocrats alike, liquidating everything they owned to get in on the action. They saw their neighbors getting rich and convinced themselves that the price would never go down because everyone wanted tulips. Then, in February 1637, at a routine auction in Haarlem, some buyers simply didn't show up. A tiny crack of doubt appeared. Within days, the panic spread. The people who had traded their family farms for a handful of bulbs realized they were holding nothing but perishable vegetables that nobody wanted to buy back. The crash of the tulip market wasn't caused by a change in the flowers. It was caused by a change in the human psyche. We are evolutionarily programmed to look for patterns and to follow the herd. In the wild, if you see the rest of your tribe running in one direction, you don't stop to ask why. You run with them to survive. In finance, this manifests as social proof. We assume that if everyone is buying, they must know something we don't. We also suffer from what psychologists call availability bias. When we hear constant stories of people making easy money, our brains overestimate the probability that we will also make easy money. We ignore the risks because the rewards are more available in our imagination. Greed is rarely the primary driver. It's usually the fear of relative poverty. It's not just that we want to be rich, it's that we can't stand the idea of being the only person in our social circle who stayed poor while everyone else got lucky. This creates a feedback loop where the higher the price goes, the more proven the investment feels, leading us to buy exactly when the risk is at its absolute maximum.
You see the ghost of the tulip in every modern bubble. It was there in the late 90s with dot-com companies that had no revenue. It was there in 2008 with housing markets that people thought could only go up. It was there in the recent explosion of meme stocks and digital collectibles. The technology changes, the assets change, but the script remains identical. We find a new vessel for our collective excitement. We convince ourselves that this time is different because of some new innovation, and we wait for the latecomers to provide the exit liquidity for the early adopters. When you find yourself justifying a purchase not based on its inherent value, but because the price is moving, you are participating in a 400-year-old tradition of psychological entrapment.
There is a simple discipline that can protect you from this cycle. Before entering any investment, pause and ask yourself why you're acting. Is it because you understand the value or because you see others benefiting? If your decision is driven by observation rather than conviction, it may be worth stepping back. The best opportunities rarely feel urgent. They often feel uncertain, even uncomfortable. That discomfort is not a weakness. It is usually where value still exists.
History doesn't repeat itself because of economics. It repeats because human nature is the one constant in an ever-changing world. The tulip may have died, but the heart of the buyer remains exactly the same. If this feels familiar, subscribe. The next video will set you off your feet.